Wait a minute, did Regina King just crack open the real story behind Malcolm-Jamal Warner's suspicious death in Costa Rica? Are we seriously supposed to believe this was just a tragic accident when everything's cover-up? Because baby, this ain't adding up. 1 minute he's posting flowers in his hair birthday videos, spreading good vibes, and the next he's mysteriously gone, drowned. With no lifeguard, no autopsy, and a wife who allegedly called a lawyer to change the will before his body was even cold. Oh, we're not doing this today, and Regina. Sis kept it classy, but make no mistake, her silence was loud, and now she's finally speaking. The same Regina who was kicked out on Valentine's Day. Flowers in the trash, son in her arms, now mourning the same man who ghosted her and allegedly knew too much about certain elite files. You better grab your popcorn because this ain't your average Hollywood heartbreak. This is betrayal, power moves, and maybe a little murder mystery. Oh, I said what I said, buckle up, because if Regina's dropping truth bombs, we're digging deep, asking all the questions, and exposing what really went down. Let's get into it, so let's really talk about what's going on here. Because the streets are not buying the story they've been fed. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, the legendary actor and beloved icon, randomly dies from an accidental drowning during what was supposed to be a sweet little beach day with his daughter. And everyone's just expected to nod quietly, shed a tear, and move on. Oh no baby, not in this economy. Not when too many things are already smelling fishy, and I'm not talking about the ocean breeze. We're talking confusing timelines, conflicting official reports, insiders contradicting each other, a wife who allegedly moved faster than Wi-Fi when it came to paperwork. And now Regina King has entered the conversation. And let's be real, when Regina shows up calmly and drops a heartfelt statement after years of radio silence and heartbreak, you better believe something deeper is going on. She's not throwing shade. She's not spilling tea. She's letting it simmer just enough to let the world know there's more. So let's break it all the way down. Malcolm was vacationing in Costa Rica with his daughter. A seemingly peaceful getaway from the noise of Hollywood and the burdens of everyday fame. Just hours before his death, he posts a lighthearted video, flower in his hair, sun shining, smiling like nothing in the world could go wrong. He says it's his daughter's birthday, and he reminds us all there's always a reason to smile. It felt genuine, wholesome. But then suddenly, headlines drop that he has died, and the cause, drowning. It's tragic, sure, but also suspiciously abrupt. Now here's where it starts getting murky. The Costa Rica Judicial Investigation Agency, known as OIJ, put out an initial report saying that Malcolm had gone into the ocean with a friend, not his daughter, and was swept away by strong rip currents. He was apparently pulled out of the water and attempts to revive him failed. That's the official version. But just when people started to accept that, a new voice jumped in. Albert Leon, the actual chief of the tourist police in the region, came out and said the daughter was in the water too, and Malcolm had died trying to save her. Not only that, but the daughter was treated at the scene by the Red Cross and didn't need to be taken to a clinic? So let's be crystal clear, the people who were supposedly issuing the official version of events weren't even present when it happened. But the man who was there, the one who saw it go down with his own eyes, says otherwise. The OIJ got their story from family interviews. The tourist police chief got his from being on the scene. Yet the OIJ doubled down on their version anyway. Like, what are we doing here? And while all this back and forth is happening in public, behind closed doors, the story takes an even darker turn. Allegedly, yes, we're saying allegedly, for the lawyers, Malcolm's wife contacted a lawyer less than 24 hours after his death and requested that the beneficiary of his estate be changed to herself, cutting out his daughter from the original will. Now listen, I'm no legal expert, but who calls a lawyer before the body is even cold? Before the funeral arrangements are made? Before the family can even sit in shock? That's not just suspicious, that's strategic. And to make matters worse, REPORTS claims she initially refused to let Malcolm's daughter see her father one last time and also allegedly tried to deny an autopsy, asking for the body to be handed over without any further investigation. So let me get this straight, we've got two versions of what happened, the eyewitness version being ignored, no lifeguards on duty, a fast-track will alteration, an autopsy refusal, and a child who allegedly couldn't even say goodbye. And we're supposed to just accept that as normal? Please. Then, of course, the beach officials try to cover their tracks with a Facebook post. Yes, Facebook saying there were no lifeguards present at the time of the drowning because they had redirected resources to other beaches due to recent aquatic incidents. They claim they've saved dozens of lives in the past and basically tried to use that as a PR shield. But it just made people ask even more questions. Because if this was a known danger zone, why wasn't his family warned? Why weren't lifeguards posted near a public beach with strong rip currents on the exact day a celebrity and his child decided to swim? And that brings us to Regina. Oh, Regina. The woman who once loved Malcolm, who lived with him, who was blindsided and broken when he dumped her and her son on Valentine's Day. She had every reason to ignore his death, every reason to stay silent. But instead, she posted not one, but 2 tributes. And the language she used. Subtle, powerful, pointed. In one post, she wrote, "Some people leave a lasting imprint, not just for who they were, but for the energy they carried. I'm sending prayers filled with love and understanding to your family and loved ones. Rest easy, Malcolm-Jamal Warner." In another, she simply wrote, "Ride in power." Now if you know Regina, you know she doesn't waste words. She's not a publicity vulture. She's thoughtful, intentional, and real. And when someone who has hurt that deeply still shows up with that kind of grace, you can feel that there's more behind the words than what's written. Let's not forget their history. They first met as teen stars back in the 80s, both breaking barriers and lighting up screens. And decades later, in 2011, they reconnected and finally began dating. For fans, it felt like fate. But behind the scenes, it wasn't all sweet. They kept their relationship private, away from the chaos of Hollywood, but it didn't last. By 2013, Malcolm had ended things, reportedly telling Regina he just wasn't feeling it anymore. The worst part, he broke up with her and her son on Valentine's Day, and when she got flowers from him that said "I still love you," she tossed them straight in the trash. And who could blame her? Years later, when asked about her worst Valentine's memory, she recalled that very moment. So fast forward to now, and this same woman is writing beautiful tributes for the man who broke her and her child's heart. All while the world is questioning whether his death was really just a sad accident or something far more sinister. You can't tell me that's not suspicious timing. And if you think Regina didn't notice the same inconsistencies the rest of us did, think again. Word is, behind the scenes, she's been quietly asking questions, pulling strings, and trying to get to the bottom of what really happened. Because while the internet wants to cry and move on, Regina knows exactly what it feels like to be blindsided by someone you trusted. And she's not about to let that happen again, not to herself, not to his daughter, and not to his legacy, And just when you thought things couldn't spiral any deeper into madness, the whispers started turning into full-blown roars across social media, tabloids, and backroom Hollywood circles. Regina King wasn't just heartbroken over Malcolm-Jamal Warner's unsolved death. She was allegedly on a mission to uncover what no one else dared touch. According to a so-called insider, who claims to have been part of a deleted group chat between several high-level entertainment executives, Regina found out Malcolm had been preparing to expose something huge, something that would have ripped apart a well-curated image of an entire Hollywood dynasty. The same insider, who conveniently deleted all traces of their identity, shared that Malcolm had uncovered a trail of financial irregularities, hush payments, and shady dealings involving production companies he once worked with. Allegedly, he was blacklisted quietly after refusing to remain silent. And just weeks before his death, he'd reportedly contacted a journalist known for taking down corrupt moguls. But guess what? That journalist has now gone completely off the radar, deactivating all social accounts and even reportedly moving out of the country. Coincidence? Please. Fans began speculating whether this wasn't just a tragic death, but a calculated silencing, with Regina caught in the center, as both a grieving ex and an unwilling witness to something way darker than anyone expected. Then came the so-called anonymous leak, a grainy voicemail allegedly left by Malcolm for Regina just days before his passing. In it, a voice eerily similar to Malcolm's can be heard saying, "If anything happens to me, tell them to look into the contract files from 2013, they'll know." The internet practically exploded. Reddit threads popped up like wildfire, TikTok investigators zoomed into every waveform of the audio clip, and YouTube Expo's OI channels went ballistic, breaking down every syllable like it was the Watergate tapes. And then Regina, who had remained eerily silent for weeks, stepped out in a cryptic Instagram story. No words, just a burning rose. That's it. Within minutes, the conspiracy theories hit a whole new level. Was she confirming that Malcolm's death wasn't an accident? Was she warning others? Was she being watched herself? One so-called industry whistleblower came forward, claiming Regina had allegedly received multiple cease and desist threats from a media syndicate tied to Warner's final project. They claimed Malcolm had tried to pull out of the deal once he realized something was off about the financials and casting choices. The whistleblower insisted that he was met with threats of legal destruction, career ruination, and removal. The word removal was allegedly used in a leaked memo, which of course, mysteriously vanished from the original source but was screen captured just in time to go viral. And here's where things go completely nuclear. A former assistant director on Malcolm's last TV appearance posted and then deleted a video, claiming she overheard a conversation between two executives discussing how to shut him up for good. According to her, they joked that a little accident might solve everything. She was never heard from again. No media interviews. No podcast appearances. Nothing. Regina, meanwhile, started canceling public appearances, citing mental health and safety concerns. Her closest friends, when approached, either refused to comment or gave chillingly rehearsed responses like, "She just needs space." Add to that the fact that a private investigator hired by a fan group who called themselves Justice for Jamal claimed they were tailed by unmarked vehicles after they began digging into Malcolm's last known whereabouts. One even reported their apartment being broken into, but oddly, nothing was stolen except a single laptop. When questioned, law enforcement gave the good ol' no foul play suspected statement that sounded more like a cover-up script than an actual investigation. Meanwhile, Twitter was on fire with trending hashtags like hashtag Justice for Malcolm, hashtag What Does Regina Know, and the wildest one of all, hashtag Hollywood Hit List. Some users even connected Malcolm's fate to a string of similar mysterious celebrity deaths that had all been ruled as either natural or undetermined under suspiciously vague circumstances. A now-deleted tweet by a verified entertainment journalist claimed that Regina had visited Malcolm just 2 nights before his death, and that their conversation got heated, according to a neighbor who overheard them. That same neighbor, when contacted for confirmation, declined to speak further, saying only, "I've said too much already. Say what now?" Even Netflix documentaries don't come with this level of real-life plot twists. It got to the point where Regina's own team had to step in with an official statement, denying all claims and labeling them as hurtful conspiracy nonsense. But the internet wasn't buying it. Comment sections flooded with questions like, why no autopsy photos? Why did Malcolm's funeral happen so quickly and privately? Why did the medical examiner's report take weeks to release, and even then lacked basic details? Everything just reeked of manipulation. Like, someone wanted this story buried 6 feet under, along with Malcolm himself. And you know it's serious when even celebrities start subtly chiming in. A cryptic post from Taraji P. Henson read, "The truth doesn't stay buried forever," followed by a broken heart emoji. Meanwhile, a verified account allegedly belonging to a former BED executive replied to a viral thread, simply saying, "He warned us, chills, literal chills." Regina herself then suddenly unfollowed a dozen major Hollywood figures on Instagram, including one particularly powerful producer known for having close ties to the network that aired Malcolm's last project. What does that even mean? Was she distancing herself from the inner circle? Sending a signal? The timing was just too perfect to ignore. And then, in the most bizarre twist yet, a private funeral attendee leaked that Regina refused to sit in the front row and remained in the back, wearing all black, oversized sunglasses, and refusing to speak to anyone. When asked why she didn't give a eulogy, the only thing she reportedly said was, "He knew too much." At this point, we're not even dealing with a scandal, we're watching a full-blown psychological thriller play out in real time, with Regina caught in a web of secrets, fear, and maybe even vengeance. All eyes are on her now, waiting, watching, wondering how deep does this go, and who else is involved. And just when the dust seemed like it might finally settle, Regina King's final words shook what was left of everyone's faith in the clean image the industry tried so hard to portray. She said, "This wasn't just a heartbreak, it was a setup, and that was enough to send the internet spiraling into madness." Leaked audio clips, conveniently released just hours after her interview aired, seemed to catch Malcolm-Jamal Warner's voice mid-conversation, panicked and breathless, whispering about a threat bigger than both of them. Was it real? AI generated? Nobody could tell, but the public didn't care because the drama was just too juicy to ignore. One supposed clip had him saying, "They warned me this would happen if I didn't stay quiet. I shouldn't have gone back." Go back where? Who are they? That opened a whole new wave of conspiracy theories. Suddenly, Twitter turned into a full-blown CSI lab, and TikTok detectives were dissecting every grainy photo, background noise, and waveform. Regina, for her part, kept silent, letting the chaos speak for itself. But someone else wasn't so quiet and anonymous. Reddit user posted what they claimed were deleted diary entries from Malcolm's private journal. Entries that spoke about a smiling face in the shadows and being trapped in a contract, deeper than death. Again, no confirmation on the source. But people were already making documentaries based on them, like Gospel. Then came the fake Netflix doc trailer. Someone posted grainy VHS footage, staged reenactments, and Regina's voice dubbed in with eerie music underneath. The caption read, "Justice for Jamal, coming soon." And as ridiculous as it sounded, people were eating it up. Hashtags like #Malcolm warned us and #Regina spoke truth trended for days. Celebrities started weighing in, some defending Regina, others throwing subtle shade. But no one dared say too much. Then someone dug up old footage from the 90s where Malcolm appeared on a late-night show and told a strange joke about never sleeping with your contract manager's daughter. Twice. The audience laughed then. No one's laughing now, because guess who turned out to be that manager? A man now sitting on the board of a production company that just happened to mysteriously lose all their internal emails from 2012 to 2016. Convenient. Too convenient. Meanwhile, Regina was reportedly approached by federal agents, not to press charges but to give testimony. Yes, apparently the rabbit hole went deeper than we thought. There were whispers of racketeering, fraudulent accounting, NDAs stretching miles long, and a cover-up involving not just one studio, but several. The implication: Malcolm-Jamal may not have just been a victim of personal betrayal but of something systemic. One studio exec, speaking off the record, said, "We were told to keep our mouths shut." Everyone knew Malcolm was poking the beast. What beast? That's when a chilling clip emerged from a 2015 rap party where a drunk producer allegedly yelled, "Let's see how long Warner lasts now that he's playing whistleblower." That alone would have been dismissed if not for a follow-up email from that same producer which mysteriously disappeared from multiple inboxes. People began questioning if this was less about scandal and more about silencing someone who knew too much. Some even floated the theory that Malcolm had uncovered shady deals involving shell companies, offshore accounts, and rights to intellectual property tied up in forged signatures. The more wild it got, the more people tuned in. Regina King, once seen as a grieving figure, was now being hailed as a revolutionary truth-teller. Others started calling her the Hollywood Cassandra. Warning of doom, no one wanted to believe. Paparazzi followed her everywhere. Tabloids speculated she was working on a tell-all book or secretly meeting with producers to drop a bombshell docuseries. One day she was spotted entering a legal office with 3 briefcases and sunglasses bigger than her face. The caption on the photos: Queen Regina gathers receipts. It was like a movie within a movie. Except no one knew what was real anymore. Did Malcolm-Jamal Warner die under suspicious circumstances? Or was it all just a series of tragic coincidences wrapped in internet hysteria? Either way, the damage was done. Reputations were torched, careers paused, and trust in Hollywood's inner circles cracked down the middle. Former co-stars began unfollowing each other. A-list friends went suspiciously silent. Streaming platforms quietly removed interviews and clips featuring Malcolm's past criticism of the industry. One user noticed a full podcast episode discussing financial abuse in the entertainment world featuring Malcolm was deleted overnight. No notice. No explanation. Just gone. Meanwhile, Regina's cryptic social posts weren't helping black screens with captions like, "The curtain has been pulled," or a picture of a broken contract and a single word, "Enough." Fans began theorizing she was being silenced or preparing for legal war. And then, just when it felt like this saga couldn't get any more twisted, another anonymous source claimed that Malcolm had left behind a USB drive locked in a storage unit under a fake name. Allegedly, that drive contains evidence of everything: emails, contracts, videos. Of course, no one has actually produced it, but it didn't matter. It gave people hope. Hope that the truth, whatever it is, might actually come out. And in that chaos of fake leads, buried truths, and weaponized sympathy, one thing remained clear. Regina King was done playing Hollywood's game, whether she cracked under grief or stood tall in the face of dark forces. She lit a match in a room full of secrets and we all stood too close, watching it burn. Now that the truth is out in the open, raw, unfiltered, And absolutely do we even move forward from here? Are we supposed to pretend none of this happened? Are we just going to scroll past and go back to our lives like Regina King didn't just light the internet on fire with revelations that shook the entire foundation of what we thought we knew? Nah, not on our watch. The pieces are on the floor, and now it's your turn to pick them up. What do you believe? What side are you even on? Do you think Malcolm-Jamal Warner's mysterious death is really just an unsolved case? Or has Hollywood's dirty little secret finally been cracked, wide open? You've seen the receipts, the so-called anonymous sources, the wild luxury parties, the botched investigations, the fake smiles at red carpet events that look a lot more sinister now, don't they? And if you think this story ends here, honey, you're not even ready for what's coming next. Hit that like button if your jaw hit the floor. Smash subscribe because we're just getting started with this madness. Drop your theories in the comments, no matter how wild. Was it a cover-up? A revenge plot? Something darker? We want to hear it all. And don't forget to turn on those notifications, because the next bombshell might just rewrite everything you thought you knew. Keep your eyes open, stay skeptical, and never stop asking the hard questions. Because in a world full of illusions, someone's gotta keep it real, and around here, we don't do surface level. We dive deep, we spill everything, and we never hold back. Stay tuned. This isn't just gossip, it's the new truth.